Jason Boyle here with Queen Dorothy. How are you today?
I'm good, always.
Trump did it again. He appointed someone that is going to cause massive controversy, Thomas Homan. What do you think?
I think he's good.
You do?
Yeah, I think he's straightforward. I think he wants to save America. He's going to cause controversies, definitely. But I think Trump is on the right track with this pick.
All right, so you say he's going to cause controversies. What do you think is the biggest controversy what's he going to do that's going to cause more controversy than anything else that he's going to do?
Well, people call it controversy. I think he's ready to do the right thing. Because let me tell you something. President Trump vowed strict actions on both lawful and unlawful immigration. And there is only one person that is ready to execute that. That is Tom, you call
Homan.
him Thomas or Tom Homan.
Yeah, I think he does. I don't know what he goes by.
Tom, people just call him Tom.
All right, interesting. Yeah, he showed up on TV in that Border Patrol outfit, which to me resembled a military outfit. I think it's tied to the military, maybe the Border Patrol. I'm not sure.
He's a former police officer, first of all, and the border officers, the rangers, and other kind of, the military people that guard the border.
Right.
They really put on something close to the military. The Homeland Security do mostly things that are related to the military. So I don't even see any controversy with his green.
Shows of attire. Yeah. It was going to ruffle feathers, so we knew it. Yeah, I mean, and he's taking action at the border and inside the border with this deportation policy. I saw recently he said on the news that he was going to deport criminal immigrants first. Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw that, but also, Trump promised to deport over 10 million undocumented immigrants. Okay? And on their list, first on the list, the people that have already been ordered deported. There is a judgment against them to leave the United States, but they haven't left. And they had the option to leave voluntarily. Of course, when you leave voluntarily, you can't return to the U.S. until after 10 years, and your case is reviewed and then stuff like that, and then they can reconsider bringing you back to the United States.
So can you tell me something? All right, this 10 million people, this number fascinates me. I don't know what the entire immigrant population is in America, but it's obviously a lot more than 10 million.
Yes.
Right, and so I think this 10 million, is it just the people that haven't sought asylum? Haven't even petitioned yet, or their petition isn't pending, or is it the people with all the pending petitions included that haven't been granted asylum? It's an interesting question.
So it's actually in categories. Undocumented immigrants are immigrants that came to the U.S. Some of them came legally and then overstayed their visas and then did not file any paperwork that would make them legal. Those ones then jump into the pool of undocumented.
All right.
Because they have overstayed their visa. And then there are those who just cross through the border. And when they come in, nobody knows they're here. It's just like someone coming in to live in your basement and you don't even know who they are, what time they come in, where they go. But you find them eating in your kitchen and then putting food in your refrigerator, but you don't know. Okay, just like when they pay taxes, they're putting food in the refrigerator, but you don't really know that is what they're doing.
Right, you don't know who's who in the community.
Yes, you don't know who is who. And then there are those who overstayed their visas, ordered deported, maybe because of a crime they committed. They were legal before, but then committed this heinous crime, and the U.S. decided that they're not desirable. And then, the order, they are.
Well, I think this is another really interesting point. I saw this narrative that they're going to deport criminal immigrants first. And I think this is controversial for so many reasons. One, what defines someone as a criminal immigrant? I understand a traffic ticket isn't criminal, But where is the line? What's the minimum crime that someone can do to be on the deportation list? I don't see how this cannot be used as a weaponization system of the executive branch. Because if an immigrant can get pinned with any kind of a crime, then they're automatically deported. It seems to me that this would motivate malfeasant people to target immigrants with crimes.
Well, first of all, immigrants have been targeted in this country for a very long time. It is just going to be legalized targeting.
That's what it seems to me.
When this is, but then, President Trump has not clearly stated how he intends to do this and who he defines as criminal immigrants. But to the best of my knowledge, there are people that have been, that are already in prisons. He's going to work with prisons if he wants to target the criminals because they are in jail. And they have been convicted of crimes and they're already serving several years for either murder, for rape and trafficking and all those things. Those ones will be deported first. I'm
not arguing that demographic of incarcerated immigrants exists. I do understand that. But I think a large majority of the people that they're attempting to deport in this initial phase that is just, quote, criminal immigrants are going to be people that were convicted of crimes and already paid their dues. Like they have a criminal record. I don't think that he's only deporting. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was going to be criminals in general. Like if they have a criminal record, they're getting deported.
Well, so I don't know if having a criminal record, because there are also very many Americans that have criminal records, worse criminal records than immigrants. All right. So if they're deporting someone with a criminal record, they've already served their time. Have they recommitted the crime? There must be a criteria. I'm telling you, this is not going to work very well because whatever he tries to do, the courts are going to block it. He's going to issue an executive order and it's going to be locked up in court for a very long time because there is always going to be some problem when it comes to carrying out deportations, especially if there is due process. I have this person called Jaime Motta.
Yeah, right. Jaime Motta.
Jaime Motta was accused by a fellow immigrant, but that person who accused him, Karen, is a fraudster. And I can boldly say this. She came to the U.S. illegally and borrowed $6,000 or more from Jaime. And she pretended to be Jamie's girlfriend. Jaime was just deceived. It was a love scam. He thought the woman loved him. And the woman was after the money. And then he facilitated the woman coming to the U.S. When the woman arrived here, she was fishy in every single way. And then she came to visit Jaime voluntarily, by herself. No one dragged her to come here. And then when she was here actually for less than a week, Jaime's friends actually picked her up from the airport. And then one day, they were girlfriend and boyfriend, right? For a few days. And then she turned around, called the police, accused Jaime of human trafficking, of trafficking her, of rape and kidnapping. How do you voluntarily come from your country, Colombia? And then you board the plane. You're even informing your mom of how happy you are, how excited you are. You arrive every step of the way. And then you reach, and then the person says, how are you going to pay me back the $7,000? And then you decide, I just realized you raped me the last 2 days. So Karen is a complete scam. But she is doing that because there is, the law gives her something like automatic legality. Because then she becomes a victim of sex trafficking and abuse and other things. Now she can use that to get a legal status under EU visa. But Jaime is rotting in jail.
It's horrific story.
I know. Innocent. You look at the paperwork, Jaime Motta is innocent. And, by the way, USCIS has a hold on him. He's still in jail right now. You know Jamie, right?
Of course I know. I met Jamie at the Oconee County Detention Center while I was incarcerated for protesting corrupt Judge Danny Singleton. I gotta plug that as much as I can.
So he's an innocent man. An innocent
Jaime
man.
Motta, I believe Jaime Motta is innocent. I've talked to several of the witnesses at this point. I've heard the story multiple times from multiple people from different perspectives. I don't see it. How is it possible that Karen traveled here? Jamie made sure she had a cell phone, all the proper clothes. He helped her settle into his apartment. He got her a gym membership. He introduced her to all his friends. And then...
yeah, she just wakes up after being asked for how she intends. Because Jamie wanted her to start finding a job. Okay? So that she could pay. And then she decides that Jamie trafficked her. And the police believed her. And because immigrants are so vulnerable, in America, no one believes an immigrant, especially an immigrant who is a man. The police did not bother to investigate the case. It was this woman's word against Jamie, who was accused while he was working. Okay? Accused of rape in your absence here. Spiritual rape. And then the police tested the DNA. I believe they found that, yes, there is a DNA, but there was no first entry. Okay? Yes.
So, that's, Jaime Motta. I believe he's a good man. I believe they need to get him out of there.
But then the Trump policy.
Oh, right. Coming back to Jaime Motta. That's an interesting application.
How is that going to play out for someone who has been accused falsely like that? Who is fighting for his life?
Well, no, I think he is fighting for his life. You see, in Oconee County, and I think a lot of these small court systems, you don't need a preponderance of evidence as you normally would. And I'll give you an example using Jaime Motta. Jaime Motta, I think, is the proper pronunciation.
Yeah, Jaime.
Yeah, but I like calling him Jamie. That's what I called him when we were in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you don't need a preponderance of evidence, and here's why. The West Union police arrested him. I don't believe they ever did a proper investigation. I don't think they ever gave Jaime the benefit of the doubt. I don't think they did. And so they had to arrest him and stick him in jail. And now if the court does the right thing, it embarrasses the police department. And now, of course, the special prosecutor, the prosecutor in general, the solicitor's office doesn't want to embarrass the police department either. And so what do? They put it in front of the judge with the police department collaborating with the solicitor to not embarrass the police department. And they're putting it in front of the judge. And what's the judge going to do? Embarrass the police department? I don't think so.
Well, they even, during the interview, when they interrogated Jamie, they had a translator that was not even a native. Okay? Some American that I think learned
Spanish as a second language.
And then they brought for him some other translator that also sold him out, made him sign papers, and then they added charges. So Jamie didn't speak a single word of English.
When I knew Jamie, he didn't speak a word of English. He was just starting to try to learn, but that was well after his arrest.
But then that was after everybody betrayed him. The translator betrayed him. And every time he's talking about how innocent he is, how he got betrayed by the translator, the police, imagine the translator is telling the police something else. They just cooked up whatever they could. And now this man is fighting for his life, but they have one fraudulent witness.
One fraudulent witness.
That's right. A scam, really. Karen does not have any integrity in this situation. The fact that she owes Jamie nearly $7,000 and she turns around and accuses him while he's at work.
Yeah, it smells corrupt. It absolutely smells corrupt. And especially, I called the West Union police chief. I forget his name now. I called the West Union police chief and I spoke with him, and he wouldn't even defend the human trafficking. He said that, the charge may get switched to kidnapping, and they're going to change the charge from human trafficking to kidnapping, but that doesn't make sense to me. If you're saying she fabricated this whole story about human trafficking, and that story fell apart, because of lack of evidence and all this evidence to the contrary that says Jamie treated her quite well and went out of his way to make sure she was comfortable and taken care of. And then to turn around and say, no, she lied about all that. She wasn't human trafficked, but she was kidnapped.
How? How do you kidnap someone who came on her own from Colombia and who was talking to her mom and everybody voluntarily, who actually decided to initiate the conversation of wanting to come to you?
No, the one witness, I don't know whose name I should say in this or not say this, but the one witness had told me that she knew Jaime was talking to Karen's mom on a nightly basis, and that the night before he was arrested, he had talked to Jaime's mom. The same witness said she called Karen's mom, Jaime talked to Karen's mom. The same witness said she called Karen's mom after that.
Yeah, they have been talking back and forth. The mom was so excited that Jamie had helped her daughter come to the United States. But then whatever the daughter did was fraudulent as hell. Just, if she wanted to stay in America, she never needed to put a man that supported her in the name of love in jail. So she could get a status. That is terrible. But anyway, now how does President Trump's policy ensure that a person like Jamie gets full due process? Full due process. People that came to the U.S. when they were children.
And now they're adults.
And now they're adults. They get a pathway to, legalize their status. And President Obama signed that in 2012, I think. Made it possible for them to get like a temporary status that would be renewed every 2 years. When President Trump was campaigning in 2016, he promised to end DACA.
Did he end it?
It was locked. DACA is still locked up in fights, in legal fights up to now.
All right.
In the legal system, it's caught up there. But, so now you look at it. Those came to the U.S. under no fault of their own as children. They have only known the United States as their home. They have studied in the United States. And then all of a sudden, they have to be sent back to a country that is foreign to them.
No, I mean, you know me, I'm one of the forgiving ones. I actually run a pretty hard line philosophically on right and wrong, including obedience to the law. I think if you break the law, it should be with civil disobedience. It shouldn't be out of greed or recklessness. Sometimes you need to break the law because the law is unjust. But other than that, I think immigration laws mostly are not unjust. But as soon as they're violated, it's not a normal crime because you've opened Pandora's box. And not all cards are the same. You say put food back in the refrigerator when people pay taxes. And I like that analogy, but there's another side to that is people that have committed their lives to paying taxes. People who own houses. There's a lot of people in America who have really established something and worked hard and contributed to society and have been here a long time. But they never went through the proper paperwork and they don't have legal status.
Well, I disagree with you. I think that everybody that is coming to the U.S. must come here legally. It is not an excuse for someone to come illegally and then fail to register, fail to legalize their status. Let it be an injustice where people are just vindictive and they want this particular person deported, and then they can do all kind of, reporting, false reporting, which usually gets lost in the system because someone that is unjustly, reported to the immigration will do their job to try to, uncover the truth.
Right.
But then I'm talking about whoever is coming should come legally. I would not want someone coming to live in my basement without me knowing that they're in my house. It is the responsibility of a president of a country to protect the country, the people who live in that family, which is the country. So if someone is coming through the border and they have entered illegally, usually they have 1 year. 1 year to report, to legalize their status, file an asylum. You don't just walk in, you know you have a problem, and then all of a sudden you've been here 10 years, you've not told anyone you're here. That person has committed a crime. That person needs to be deported because that person is it's a time bomb. If they commit a crime, you won't know because their fingerprints are not in the system. The police does not know them. The government doesn't know them. They come, commit a crime, run.
But see, there's another side of that story. See, because I'm saturated in the construction industries, I just know a lot of really good, strong, upstanding men that work very hard, make an honest living. They pay their bills, they send their money home, clean, strong, and women, by the way. So where would we be without a lot of these people? First of all, I don't know, I joke and say I don't want to work with people that speak English. I don't. The attitude is different. The energy is different. The achievement is different, right? There's a lot of benefits to the immigrant community in America.
I am not disputing that there's a lot of benefits. All I am saying is that they had, even up to now, they still have an opportunity. Though between 2023 to 2024, Biden has made things a little strict that if someone came illegally to the United States, they are actually barred from filing an asylum.
So if they come in illegally, they're barred from filing an asylum.
Yeah, if they come in illegally and then
that's just over this last year.
Yeah, this is recent. But then if you come here illegally, you go through the port. You are allowed to go through, surrender yourself to the government.
All right.
And then the government will determine it's something called credible fear. And then they'll put you in jail for a minute, immigration detention for some time, and then process your paperwork, and then someone can,
So you can walk
released.
across the border and just walk in.
You walk across the border and walk into border offices.
And then you can file asylum.
And then you can file asylum.
But you can't file asylum if you sneak in and then a week from now decide to file.
No, if you sneak in, that again, you've just entered illegally.
Right.
That is now the gray
sense.
area. You've entered illegally.
But in previous years, you could have done that. You could have run across the border, lived here for 6 months, and then filed.
Yeah, file asylum. But
for a long
some
time,
of
it's been really. How long has that been in place?
Oh, I can't really give you the specific date, but it's now, if someone comes in illegally, but they still allow you to file because circumstances are different. Immigration will still receive your application for asylum.
They will.
Yeah, they will still receive it because, again, most of these actions or laws or executive orders of presidents get locked up in courts. You get.
Right.
So because they get locked up in courts, all of these human rights organizations are not leaving presidents alone. They make any executive order, it's locked up in court.
Well, I don't even understand how anything gets done. That's beyond infuriating and frustrating, but I guess it's part of the process.
It's part of the process, but what I'm saying is that everyone should try to come into the country and legalize their status. Use the law, because it feels really bad. How much money do you think people who legalize their status spend? It's cheating some of us. It is a lot of money.
Yeah, you're making the playing field not level if some people have to pay a lot of money.
Yeah, some people are paying a lot of money to legalize their status, and then some people are just walking free. And then when they walk free and someone wants to take action, then that person is wrong. But what about those who have done everything within their means to be here legally, to be known, to go through the system, which is taxing emotionally and in every possible way? Are those not human beings? Should they not be given medals instead of just ignoring them like they're not important? And then considering those who break the law as the most important, like their rights are more important. What about the rights of those who come here legally, pay money, it's expensive?
No, you're right. That's an interesting take on it, right? Because we're putting a lot of government resources into a community of people that we're calling the problem, in a sense, right? And that's where we get into this gray area. Historically, this is when human rights issues have taken wrong terms, is when we start categorizing people and calling some category of people the problem within a community. And that's certainly unavoidable in some circumstances. Like here, we're going to say there's a certain 10 million people and they're in a category. We're going to call that the problem, and the problem has to be removed. But then on the other side of that, what's the reward going to people who are achieving?
Nothing.
Right?
There is no reward. It is expensive, first of all. Every immigration form is expensive. Okay? And then they're not even recognized. And then the ones who come illegally are the ones that everybody's talking about. They're living in your house illegally. Okay? Let's say the house. Let's leave the country alone. But it's the same. Those who come through the border are just like coming into the house of America. House of Mr. President Trump.
That's right.
But they are illegal. Okay? And President Trump says, why are you living on top of my roof? I need to look for you and take you out. And then people who are outside say, no. Let them live in your on top of your roof. You don't have to take them away.
Well,
it's okay. And then they walk in and steal your things. You don't know who stole it because you don't know they're living there.
Well, and a lot of it's acquiesced. I mean, if you look at the biggest theft, it's the resources that are being dumped into communities and people who've never contributed to the infrastructure of this whole system. And Americans have been paying a lot of taxes and working hard for a lot of time to build the structure here, and certainly exploitation and other things come into play, and that's part of the game. But there's no reason to let a random demographic of people, even if you decide to share the wealth of America, why let the distribution be random? When you're intentional in your actions, the chances of having good results go way up. And letting just a bunch of people flood into the country and receive the benefits of America, from school systems to medical benefits to housing benefits to everything, while we have so many Americans that are struggling. Our war veterans are struggling, so many. We have able-bodied Americans who aren't in positions to be disciplined and trained for whatever comes next in our country. And that's being ignored while we dump all our resources into managing a problem we just created.
I know. And look at the liberal cities. The homelessness. Those are our veterans who fought, who gave all that they had. They gave up their families, they gave up their lives, and they went and fought these useless wars. When they came back home, their families were gone. They lost everything. And then no credit, nothing. They go through the VA system, which takes forever for them to get any proper benefit. And then when they get any benefit at all, they can't afford to live. They can't afford a house. Then they go and live on the streets. And because they're mentally sick. But our government is not caring for those people.
How do you ensure that Jaime gets due process? If they're going to deport Jaime as being a criminal, and see, this is where I came into thinking that this conversation relates to Jaime. Because if they're going to deport Jaime as being a criminal, it's going to be because a corrupt judge didn't want to expose a corrupt police department who was facilitated by a corrupt solicitor's office. And so Jaime Motta, as stealing Queen Dorothy's language from earlier, becomes a sacrificial lamb to prevent mud in the face of all these supposed gentlemen. And then he's going to get deported because some lower court, because he would appeal, correct?
Well, so if President Trump decides to get everybody, because right now Jaime is in jail, all right? He's been remanded. So if President Trump decides that all criminals, now, is it targeting those that are serving time already with a judgment? Or he's targeting every immigrant that is languishing in jail, which if he tries to target a person like Jaime that is already in jail but still waiting trial, then that would be a violation of Jaime's due process rights.
Yeah, been in jail a year and like 6 months
without
or something,
any
waiting trial. No trial. I mean, what are atrocity?
No bail, no trial.
No,
and the man is
no evidentiary hearing.
No.
Nothing.
And they only have one evidence, the lying witness.
Right, and so now is this man going to get deported? I mean, and here's another thing that I think needs to be taken in consideration. If you deport Jaime Motta and he doesn't get to vindicate himself against what he's been accused of, two wrongs don't make a right. Did he ever apply for asylum, or what was his?
He did. He's at the moment he is not illegal immigrant. He is legal because his asylum application is pending. But why would immigration, Homeland Security, put a hold on him just because he's been accused of human trafficking?
Wait.
So literally, immigration is saying, keep this person for us in jail. We think we suspect him. Now we think he's guilty. Because there's an immigration hold on him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In Oconee County.
In Oconee County, where he is right now, immigration has put their stamp on him. Don't let this person get out. But that is because, and they're targeting people that have committed high crimes. They really are not targeting anyone that has committed like a low petty crime.
But if a 10th Circuit Court judge rules there's no evidence, there's no reason to hold Jaime, is he then released, or is there a federal level hold on him now?
There's a federal level hold on him. So when he gets released on bail, then his immigration lawyer has to process to get him to remove that hold. It is a due process thing, and I'm sure that the Supreme Court is going to block a lot of President Trump's immigration, executive orders. It's not going to flow because there's a lot that needs to be done. In 2016, when he came into office, he had promised to end something called DACA. DACA is a program where not all of them.
Many do. Many of the people that I work with that are immigrants I used to work with a bunch of Ukrainians. I've worked with other Eastern Europeans, and I've worked with a lot of South Americans and Central Americans. And know that a lot of the most diligent aspects of those groups, the people working the hardest and not being alcoholics and other pitfalls of being in America far from your family, are really grateful to be here.
Yeah, I'm not saying all of them, majority are grateful, but there are also those that are pampered. You've seen videos of those who say, oh, I am just here to get the money. I'm getting free money. This is, New York, how New York was exploited, right? Free money for everything, free housing. And these people are even ranting on Facebook.
But let's be honest. If you show up, I don't care where in the world you are. If you say, hey, if you come to this location, you're going to get something for free and it's going to be awesome. People are going to show up and so this is my challenge is in my world, we get ranked on our achievement, accomplishment, what you can get done for the value. And the immigrant populations are dominating in those fields, not by charging less for the hour a man works, but by getting more done with the time allotted with a better attitude that makes customers happy.
I agree with you. Right. I agree with you 100%. And there are areas that are called low interest jobs.
Low interest jobs.
Americans are not interested in working in the fields. They're not interested in working in hot sun, like in
yeah, right.
Construction.
So low interest jobs that people don't want no matter what.
You're
never going to convince American to do it.
No, you're not going to convince them. Chicken is the most consumed meat. One of the most consumed meat.
Right.
But who do you think is in the slaughterhouse?
Yeah, not Americans.
Not Americans. It is those immigrants. So now, America, the moment these people, they're desired, but President Trump is not looking at that part. He is thinking when he deports them, yes, according to him, these people are undesired. But they're doing the undesired jobs.
No, that's exactly right. Look what happened. I can't remember. There's black and white photos of it, and I couldn't try to put a year to it. But at some point, they decided that they weren't going to let the Mexicans come across the border during harvest seasons. And instead, they were going to use college kids on summer break. No, I'm not joking. And they bust bunches of college kids to, like, I want to say, like, Texas to harvest food. And they had to live in the quarters that were normally housing for the Hispanic immigrant labor, the seasonal labor. Mm-hmm. And the housing is just planks with roll beds, you know? And the kids lost their minds, and none of the work, and food went to waste. Like, massive amounts of food went to waste.
There's gonna be a problem. It's easier than saying, yes, deport them, but once you deport them, Americans will not have people that are gonna be doing their roofs, because you know, like how American contractors get the job, take part of the money, most of it, and then give subcontractors who are Hispanics to do the job. They're not doing the job, okay?
That's right.
So now, let all these people, and by the way, they're using illegal immigrants. Because again, the problem is that someone who is legal is not going to do that job.
Well, no, that's not true. Many people that are legal are working in the construction trades and doing quite well for themselves. That I've found the Hispanic population to be incredibly ambitious, and the cost of things, many contractors prefer to pay in cash for a lot of reasons, right? And so to them, who they pay in cash financially is indifferent. I don't really play in that game.
Well, what you don't understand is that there's several categories of employment visas. America does what is called brain drain. It drains the rest of the country from highly intelligent people. So the Indians, the Chinese, the Filipinos, there are those who are coming here legally under H-1B visas, under EB-2, EB-3, EB-1. Now, those ones are not going to do that job in the construction. Okay?
Well, that's right. But those are the ones that are going to just keep America rocking. Dude, like, one of the things that I get upset with when I was a grad student in graduate school is that people would complain that we're, like, training all these Chinese immigrants. We're training these Chinese immigrants with our best education, our best resources, which is 100% true. But I'm going to tell you, Jimbo, if you're out there, classic example, the immigrant Chinese people love it here in America. They push hard to be American. They fully saturate. At the University of Utah, we were part of a system, and I think the world's safer because people went home with just a little piece of us, and they're carrying it with them, like...
In America, American elite industry, like Amazon, all the tech industry, would not survive without immigrants. I swear to God. Amazon, including Twitter, whatever, the back end, the people that are working,
that's right,
are elite software designers who are not Americans, let me tell you, because
but isn't it better just wait a second, isn't it better just to be intentional and strategic? Like, if we really regulate the borders so that no one is getting in that didn't have qualify or have permission, and we need 8 million laborers, I think we can politely make a deal with nations between Mexico and Guatemala and Nicaragua, wherever we want to get our laborers from. I think it's nice to be nice to your neighbors. So if whoever wants the jobs that's close, let them come in a strategic and planned way that's actually filling the economic void in America. And then all the high-end visas, like, I think they need to keep coming. I love the idea of bringing skilled workers to America.
Oh yeah, the high-end visas keep on coming. They keep. America cannot do without high-end visas.
That's right. Yeah.
But then
drive America forward.
The illegal immigrants, please do not walk through the border illegally. Okay?
Don't walk through the border illegally. Good advice.
Please report yourself to the border authority, and then let them arrest you for a few days, and then they can determine the problems why you're running away from your country, and then they will give you a bond to then come into the country, and then you can apply for asylum. It is so simple. Why live in a country illegally without legalizing?
Well, then what's your advice for people that are here right now? The immigrant that's been here for 10 years, they haven't done anything, and they're in America right now. What do you tell this person?
They still have time.
What do?
they still have time to do. I'm not giving any legal advice right now on this or immigration advice, but they still have time. America is a country that it's a country of democracy. It's a country of due process. Whether a president comes in and says, "Oh, I will kill all of you," or "I will do this," there must be a procedure. You don't just wake up and do it, because again, we have the executive order of the president and then the court system, the Supreme Court, to determine if that executive order was legal or illegal.
So you're saying the person that's been here for 10 years and hasn't done anything, that they still need to get on it and do something. They need to be proactive.
Contact a lawyer and do what you gotta do to legalize it.
And just get after it right now.
Yeah, just
is
get
it of
after
the
it.
essence? Like right now, you got a month, or what is it, 2 months before Trump takes office? Is now the time to do it, or can you wait?
Well, now is the time to do it, but even if they wait, they still have to do it, whether Trump takes office or not. They still have to do it. But to me, I support President Trump. Let him, if someone is ordered deported, there are 1.4 million of them. They need to leave.
So you're saying the court has ordered them deported?
Yes, the court has ordered 1.4 million people deported. They have to leave. There are those who are still in the process. And when they're determined to not have credible fear, then they stay in the country. If they're determined to not have any credible fear, they will be ordered deported, and then they will be deported. If they are determined to have credible fear, then they will remain in the country. I think this is just the right thing to do.
Right? I mean, it sounds like the way the way the system was set up to be operated. Now, I don't know if it ever operated like that, but it sounds like what you're advocating for is adherence to the law.
Yeah, just the law, really. just the law.
Follow the rules.
And fairness to those who have done everything within their means to legalize their status. It's unfair.
Right, that's right.
For them to do that and then be favored, and then for other people to do the right thing and be ignored. And then due process must be exercised.
Yeah, we'd have to adhere to due process, especially anyone in the process of being incriminated, for two reasons. One, because it's just the right thing to do for their freedom, but also because they have to be able to vindicate themselves. If you accuse someone of something, they have to be able to follow through due process and vindicate themselves. They can't be deported before they've had their day in court.
I don't think America can do that. I don't think America has ever done that. And then, I don't see the advantage of living in America illegally. Because first of all, if you're living here illegally, do you know that when you leave America, you're not able to return? The moment your visa expires and you are an illegal alien, if you jump on the plane and leave the country, you can't come back.
Oh, but if you leave before your visa expires, you can.
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense. So if you violate the visa policy,
you can't come back.
All right.
And then, if you're in America illegally, you don't have a driver's license. You don't have a work permit. Why would someone want to live like that? No driver's license, no work permit.
Right. Well, I mean, this is the challenge in America right now. I'm telling you, because I'm saturated in those communities, that many, many, many immigrants in America that are not here as documented workers are driving without proper licenses. But what they do is they insure the cars and tag the cars. And then they have no license. And the lore is that if you're insured and tagged and you have your passport from your native country, that the police will mostly let you go because they don't want to clog up the whole system with putting Hispanics in jail.
Well, I haven't. That should really be illegal, but I don't know. Because if someone is driving without a driver's license...
Bunches.
Well, so then that is illegal.
If you allowed profiling, you can go to any major city that's full of Hispanic drivers, and I promise you a significant fraction of them do not have driver's licenses.
But there are so many states that I've not seen any states like, South Carolina or whatever. In South Carolina, if you are illegal, you are illegal. You don't have a driver's license, you don't have a work permit, you have nothing.
That's right.
But in states like Maryland, New York, I think maybe California, I don't know, illegal immigrants are actually allowed to get driver's license.
That's
And-
wild.
But the policy is kind of fascinating in a way that it allows the illegal immigrants to report themselves to the authority.
I think we should cut this one off at this point. That was a good run. And please get into knowing Jaime Motta's story. I think we got to get this man out. And I think that this Trump policy, as it unfolds and as we see it, it's going to be intriguing at a minimum. And I think that to be an educated citizen and to know the world events is going to be knowing what's happening with American immigration policy, because it's going to have an impact worldwide, I believe.